Roll call, Kim?
Mayor Howard,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hart. Here. Trustee Schaefer,
Here.
trustee Wineland. Here. Trustee Smith,
Here.
trustee Chance. Here. And trustee Stahl is absent.
Everybody get a chance to take a look at the agenda? You want to have a motion to approve the agenda?
We have a revision to the agenda.
Oh,
Sorry about that. We are gonna be removing the first public hearing from the special event liquor permit. That event has been canceled. We'll remove, first public hearing and the first new business items.
okay. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, now we move into public comment. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. When you are recognized, please stand, state your name, and then address the board in a professional manner. The Board of Trustees may not respond to your comments during this meeting. Rather, they may take your comments and suggestions under advisement, and your questions will be directed to the appropriate person or department for follow-up. Do we have anyone for public comment?
Yes, we have a couple.
Okay.
Tabitha King.
Hi, everybody. I don't think I need to say anything. I was here to object against, an application that just got removed from your guys' agenda.
Oh.
So, that's why I was here today to
Oh, there you
voice my
go.
opinion on that. So I appreciate you calling me up here, but this is my first time, so, but, I'm good, I think.
There you
So
go.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Birds with one stone.
All right, Joey.
Hi, everybody. I haven't met Josh, so it's good to meet you, Josh. I'm Joey Koo. I own Just Peachy. I was also here to object. And the reason is, and I'm gonna go ahead and state it in case, something should come up again before.
This is new to us. I have no
Yeah.
idea.
Ted and Corey will no longer be in the 222 Comanche Street building after, November 30th. It'll probably come sooner than that, as I have my attorney working on it. I wanna make sure it's clear that, and I know you guys all know, they cannot have a liquor license in a building they do not occupy. So if they're gonna have a liquor license in Kiowa at all, they need to have either a lease or they need to have a purchase of a building. So I just wanna make sure that's clear in case it should come up again prior, and I don't think it will. I'm not sure why it got canceled, but I'm just saying, I wanna make sure that's clear.
Just know the event was canceled itself. That's all. I
Okay.
know.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I just wanted to make sure it was clear because, it would be my liability. They weren't in the building. And if, they use that address. And I would be not happy about that. And I know you guys understand that, so I appreciate it. Other than that, I think I'm done. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right,
So you have a new owner?
we do, this will be the new owner, Tabitha.
Hi, yeah.
She'll be taking possession December 1st.
Hi, everybody.
And may I interject before we pull up somebody else to
Yeah, you
speak?
want me to,
No, I just wanted to tell you,
okay,
the movie night by
yes,
Main Streets, that was awesome.
great.
I brought my sister with me, my 84-year-old sister. She had a ball.
And I called her your mom, that probably offended her.
No, she is old enough to be my mom.
Okay.
So, yeah, she doesn't know.
Okay.
That doesn't, she'll tell you I was her first
I
baby.
think we have more of those and have them more, often and maybe some warmer nights, and I think
Yes.
they're gonna go really over really well.
Yes,
Cause I think a lot of people were really watching for it, especially the night after Halloween,
right,
so
right.
we're looking forward to it.
But good job, keep it up.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, next, Sasha.
I do not have anybody else on the write-in, so.
Okay,
unless
do we
it's-
have anybody online?
Nobody responding.
Okay. And public comment is closed. We're not doing public hearing.
Not the first one. We'll move on to the second one for the proposed budget.
This is. Confused me then. Okay. Okay, finalize the 2026 proposed budget.
Move into public hearing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll now call our first public hearing to order. Do we have any comments on the budget?
Yes, we made a few revisions to the proposed budget from last month's, review of it.
Okay.
If you guys will, refer to your letter, budget letter, I'll give you just the highlights of it. Governor Polis has redirected funds previously allocated to the Energy Impact Assistance Program to help balance the state budget. As a result, many rural communities, including Kiowa, are now experiencing reduced access to critical funding source that we've utilized up to this point. This decision will directly impact programs that rely on energy impact dollars, including the Colorado Main Street Program, which is expected to have limited, if any, funding available for 2026 and possibly through 2027 now. The town of Kiowa has previously expressed its commitment to the Main Street Program and to support its efforts toward community and economic revitalization. In light of the anticipated reduction in state funding, I am recommending the board approve $30,000 contribution as startup funding for 2026 to the Main Street Board, which is $10,000 more than the previously recommended $20,000, with the possibility of continuing that level of support into 2027 as needed. This investment will help ensure the program continues to move forward and maintain momentum in achieving our shared goals for downtown development and community vitality. Another revision is roads and streets. I increased that budget line item to $100,000 to provide matching funds for future capital improvement and infrastructure grant opportunities. The other is contributions and sponsorships, line 6,800. We set that at 15,000 to offset potential reductions in state funding to service programs and maintain vitality community partnerships. That's what we give back to our community. Town events, I asked that we increase that to 40,000 to support the town of Kiowa's 150 year celebrations in 2026. That is the 150th anniversary of Colorado and the 250th anniversary of our nation. Ensuring continued community engagement and civic pride through 2026. And that's all I have right now.
Okay.
Oh, well, we talked about that. We need that to,
Okay.
gosh, I would have been able to say it if you hadn't,
Contingent?
there you go. Yeah,
Are there any questions, from the board? On the budget? Or the revisions?
I guess I don't understand. On the Main Street deal. For 30,000. Well, I guess,
It's to help fund them, correct?
yeah, they have no
They have
state
no,
budget.
no money coming in at this point.
What are they
what
doing?
are they doing? I mean, and I'm asking not to be adversarial. But they're a volunteer board,
Mhm.
it's a program extension, but what are they doing with 30,000?
So the Main Street Board will do revitalization beautification projects down our town center. So right now, one of the things they're looking at doing is a mural at the end of town. That's their first proposed revitalization beautification project as a Main Street Board. Then they work with our local businesses and helping them either obtain grant funding in some form or fashion, which we know now has been shut off to them.
Okay.
So there is, this allows them the ability to open up or create some sort of small grant program to the businesses, allowing some sort of activities to occur in our town center. Right now, what you're looking at is a brand new Main Street Board that is not able to provide anything to our community for at least 2 years. Yeah.
It was my understanding that we were supposed to help support the Main Street boards because DOLA was supposed to help with grants for that, and it was like 2,500 for them and 500 from us to help the Main Streets,
Yeah,
beautification
some
project.
of that money.
Well, that's street stuff.
Right, but there are other, things out there that I'm sure they would love to do for our Main Street people.
And so that's why I'm asking. I'm not trying to be,
No, I'm
telling
saying,
you, I'm not trying to be,
no, I
but at the
understand.
same time, mural, there's a mirror, where are we putting a mural?
No, we're.
I'm not willing to discuss that anymore right now because it's under the board's discussion that I'm not able to have and
But
give
that was-
information to, but,
That was my understanding, is that DOLA was supposed to help
and
and
that's the
But-
whole point is.
Yeah,
DOLA
that
can't
that
help.
money was taken
take
away
away
now.
from the
So-
government, yeah.
They
So-
have nothing to start with.
So what we had kind of been discussing over several months, if not maybe a year, talking about how we are gonna help all of these businesses. Now we're not able to with state funding. But you're saying as a board, we should do the 30,000 to fulfill.
It's
what
not
we have.
just, we committed to helping them
yes.
get off the ground. I mean, we're
Yes.
submitting our final application next month to make us a full committed Main Street community. And they're starting off with no promised money from the state that they were promised going into this program. Cause there is a set amount that they're given every year without any competition for it. And now that's been shut off by Polis.
So are they gonna ever get that money?
Yes. Our hope is that we'll get a new governor that will decide not to use the money that goes to rural communities to balance his budget. But for right now, that's what he's doing in 2026 and 2027.
But
And-
if they don't get that money and we give the money, then that's the end of it.
So if you look at the budget and the sheet that's dedicated to Main Street.
This one,
Yeah, if you go to, there's another page in
This-
there,
it looks
just
like
Main
this
Street,
one.
it looks
Okay,
like
yeah.
that one. They're just getting off the ground. Part of what their responsibility is as a Main Street community is much like what I do every year with our town events, is I reach out and I do fundraising. I ask people to give to the town events to help us make them bigger and better, you know, because of the limited funds we have. And they are also tasked with the same responsibilities. Now, I don't know what that's gonna look like for them as a first year. It didn't go well for us. We're 5 years in now, and that's the only reason we're getting the sponsorships that we're getting at this point. They're brand new. So they're gonna have to build up their volunteer base. They're gonna have to build up their sponsors. They're starting from the ground up. And my proposal is at the least for 2026, trying to get off the ground, we give them a good basis to start. The initial thought, when we thought they were gonna come into all the funding that the state had promised, was giving them $5,000.
Right.
But it's all been shut off now.
so the whole Main Street thing with fixing up Main Street is dead for now?
No, that's
No,
that's
that's
separate.
different.
Yes, separate. That's our
Okay,
road
okay,
project for the town. So,
So they can use the funds for grants to small businesses in the
Mhm.
town, like,
Yes.
many communities like
Communities.
us, yeah.
like, here's some money you can use if you're gonna use it for creating advertisement to bring in business. Like, so that's kind of what the difference is between the 30,000 and the 5,000, I guess.
Oh, that's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what? Cause our budget is a vacuum. So where did that money come from? What did we pull that money out?
What do you mean, where did we pull it out of?
Well, you pulled it from somewhere to put it there. You pushed it from left to right.
Moved it from general funds. Essentially, it's being treated as a sponsorship to the Main Street program.
I guess I. 30 is a big number. I mean, especially when this board has struggled over spending 30 on. Redoing. Concrete pans and infrastructure. And I'm probably.
How will, the businesses apply for that
I have no way of discussing that right now because that's not been set up by them yet.
Well, I
They
just,
don't have any money. They aren't guaranteed this money until this board approves
well,
that being set in the budget. So there's no way to make planning ahead of what that looks like or what those amounts look like. Or any work moving forward.
well, have you
until
ever
they know
done
what
this
they
in
have
the
to do.
past?
No, this is
No.
all.
I'll bring. And then,
That's
Maybe
just
so.
brand new, yeah.
I mean, part of the thing that goes through my head, cause at the end of the day, Main Street, you know, when whatever citizen pick a street, owners, a board member and go, you just gave them 30,000 to spend. How are you gonna defend it?
am I gonna defend spending the 30,000?
How are you gonna defend it? And the thing is, well, cause right now, I don't know.
Well, see, because we voted as a board to bring this on last December, was it?
I don't remember,
And so,
but yes, we did,
yeah,
And we made the commitment to help them out,
yeah,
yes.
and
and
then,
get it started, and the town people that we reached out to. And I'll say we, Kim, reached out to, and, they all decided to come together, come to a meeting. Develop a board, and they've been working on this very hard for the last few months. I think it's only fair that since we decided to, as a board, to bring on this Main Streets organization. It's only fair that we help them out this first year, and let's hope that. Next year, we
Okay.
can get some different funding coming in instead of somebody stealing it from us.
I have no issue about helping them,
Mhm.
but has anybody here seen a proposal about what they're gonna do with it?
Not yet,
They haven't
because,
gotten to that point yet.
yeah,
Okay, so here's where I'm at. When we see the proposal, what their plan is, what their strategy is to do with the tax dollars that we're responsible for this town. I'm okay looking at it. I'm
Well-
okay saying, all right,
They aren't gonna
maybe,
do
maybe it's
that.
one of three things. Maybe we look at it and go, wow, we initially, back in November, we talked about 30 and really you guys need 50. And we see why you need it. Or where we go, okay, we're thinking about 30 and really you guys need 15, but if we take another 10 and we put it over here to build your fund, maybe that makes more sense.
I
But to just
understand what
take
you're
this
saying.
and push it to them and say, you know,
It's
Here it
not
is.
like Kim's gonna write him a check for 30 grand.
But all financial distributions for the 30,000 will be decided by the Main Street Fund, is that correct? Like
How does that
how
work,
they're
Kim?
distributing the money,
Say that again, Bailey.
like all financial distributions of the 30,000, that will all be determined by the Main Street Board? Like, so,
They work through with their budget the way you work with your budget.
And right now, they don't. have
Right
a
now-
budget. What I look at with this, and this is strictly my opinion. We said, yes, we would do this, just as Tammy got through saying. Okay, here. Now you guys start up, sorry, state just pulled the money from you. I don't know what to tell you to do now. That's not fair to them.
or the town.
Or the town, exactly, yes. So,
So, okay, are you gonna distribute it like evenly throughout the, or how do they apply?
you just said that that would be determined by Main Street Board.
right,
Well, I don't understand how we can approve something we know nothing about,
well, I think,
or if we could give an example or.
okay, well, you know, the movie they had. That I was congratulating Joey on, they had a whole thing at the beginning about what Main Streets does. And they were all little towns in Colorado, Lyman, Hugo. I can't remember which all, there were
I
like
could
4 or
send you all
5
the
towns.
videos. It really would have been advantageous if somebody, other people from this board had come and seen
Yes,
what they do.
Yes.
And that will help
Because they're-
everybody on this board a lot if you participate.
Yeah.
In the things that they're doing and learn more about it.
and I thought, for one, even though I only participate so much, but it was
I know.
nice to see that, we did have an excellent response from the community coming. I mean, it wasn't fantastic like thousands of people, but it was great to see families come. We had a young man on a date and it was just really cool, you know,
Yeah.
having people come in and watch this movie, watch the presentation for Main Streets. And, like I said before, guys, I think we owe it to the Main Streets Board because we voted to bring them on and develop this. And then we also owe it to the town of Kiowa because we've promised this to them over the last several months. And that there's gonna be some projects going on and there will be some grant money out there to help them, but unfortunately with the higher ups in our state, they decided to take it away from the smaller rural communities and put it somewhere else. I guess maybe you should go to the Capitol and ask Polis why he did
But
that.
you don't know what the projects are, or you?
Well, they haven't established any projects
Oh,
yet.
okay. But
Some of
they-
the things they do is whenever we have the medians put in. I think they're talking about planting flowers and taking care of that area. Maybe Patty Ann's wants to have the front of her building painted and doesn't have money. Main Streets could help subsidize that with some grant money. If they want decorations or something out front. Kim mentioned the mural, those kind of things. They get involved, in lots of. How would you say, I can't think of the,
Betterment, beautification.
Thank you.
projects
Thank
in
you.
Downtown area.
yes, Yes.
In Gillette, there was people who would apply, and so like a lot of the downtown decided that they were going to, like a lot of the buildings had gotten kind of run down, so they wanted to paint. And so the businesses would apply for grant money to paint the front of their building, so they all agreed in this one section that they were gonna make them like bright, like eye-popping colors. And so like, and then they talked amongst themselves, like, okay, this one's gonna be blue, this one's gonna be pink, this one's gonna be orange, and so there was a theme that went with it. But it turned out really cute. I mean, it just, this one little section in the downtown in Gillette was all these bright, cute little shops and so, but they all worked together
Yeah,
to get them painted.
Right, and if we do that here, and we've talked about this the last couple of years that I've been on the board. To help bring in outside business and business people that wanna set up shop here, we need more people, more businesses in here. And I think this is a great idea to help fund them and get them, you know, this is their fledgling year. So I think we need to help them get going. And yes, since they are their own entity and we brought them in, maybe we could have them, I'm not sure if this is legal or not, but have them present to us what they're planning to do.
That would be
Okay.
nice.
well,
I think
and
that's
that's
what
good,
it is.
but
I think
right
that's
now,
just communication.
what we
Yeah.
need to understand right now, they have no plans right now.
Mhm.
They have no money. So they have no plans.
So basically, it's like a big pot, and then people are like, hey, can I, and then you pinch a little here, there, wherever.
Yeah, well, that
need
was
it.
my question is, like, one person doesn't get it all, you
No,
would.
it would be distributed.
That's
you know.
correct.
If you came in and said you wanted the outside of your building painted and it's gonna cost $3,000. You can fill out the application with them and they'll tell you yeah or no. We can help you.
You know, if you wanna put it in perspective, you can look at it like this. You're right, it is tax dollar money. That's their tax dollar money. And you're turning it around. And you're giving it back to them for the benefit of helping their business, helping them, and helping the town. With revitalizing your town center. Giving it some beautification pride back in your town center. And you have a whole board. Working to do that outside of you having to do that.
So. This is probably where the crux of it is probably more about a communication deal. Cause I have. Sitting here and I haven't attended a Main Street meeting, maybe that's my fault, maybe I should be there, but at the same time, I hold their purse strings. In a sense, as a trustee,
For right now,
so they should be, in a sense, I think. They would be in front of us going. this is what we are. This is what our plan for 2020.
Well, what's hard is we gotta get this budget in, so. we
Right,
don't-
they
we don't
can't
have
come up
anything.
with any plans or
But
nothing
they
right
can't
now.
tell you their direction. Hey, we wanna do this. I already heard about it. Mural and hearing
Well,
about.
then, yeah,
plots
you
and
need to
flowers.
go
I mean,
to,
can't they
you
come and
need to go
say,
to a Main Street board.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what'll help you.
We,
this is why I need to go to say, hey, I gotta come to your meeting. Cause I'm gonna figure out how to fund you. At the same time, they could come to us and go, because you're the gatekeeper, this is our trajectory, this is what we wanna do. We realize that we're separate, realize that we could take a little guidance from, we can't, we as this board can't tell them what to do, but at the end of the day.
I
We
have a
are
question
helping.
for you, Kim. Did they ask you for this money?
No, they did not.
Okay,
They did not. And what I can do to help you is tomorrow I can send you their strategic plan, or you can log on the website and get it off there. I can also send you the 28-page final application we've been working through for 2 months, that we'll be submitting next week, to the state to become a full community. I can send you the meeting notes and minutes from all the meetings.
they did not ask us for this money. We're trying to help them out. We are supposed to be partners as a town with the Main Streets boards. And it happens in every city, town that they're working in.
We're in,
We're
public.
trying to help them.
And John has comment. A question.
Yes, John?
Sorry, just does the board have access, have the written minutes of the Main Street Board's meetings been presented to the board for consideration to this point?
No,
No, we can go look them up or we can go to meetings.
Every meeting of the Town of Elizabeth trustees, the minutes of the Main Street Board in Elizabeth are submitted to the board for their review, and they can take votes based on what they see in the minutes. So strong recommendation, do what Elizabeth is doing, require the minutes to be presented to this board, so this board can review the minutes and take action based on the minutes.
Elizabeth's Main Street and board are totally different than this board. There's a lot of bad things happening up the road in Elizabeth right now.
Well, and I think it's up to us to be informed if we're gonna make formal decisions, but. So here's where I'm at, cause we're kind of stuck in like a rock and a hard spot, right? Like, we just got funding ripped from us, but we have to make this decision because we have to finalize our budget. This is a big part of the budget, so. You know, we were all thinking about it before this meeting. I'm glad that we're discussing it. But another thing is like, I hope that all of our citizens don't hear, well, did you hear that they're gonna paint the town and spend $30,000 and things don't get misconstrued? When they're like, I just ran over a pothole, and they don't understand that we still have things in effect that are going to be helping our infrastructure.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So if this does get approved tonight, then we really have to be vigilant on making sure the communication is out there. That we're not just going and painting everybody's buildings for
Right.
free, that we're still doing all of these other
We
steps.
should
Do help.
always be vigilant with communication leaving this room.
And this is actually a part of the budget. Kim wrote it into the budget. So it's not like this is some brand new thing and we're not stealing it from one pot to pay Peter. It has been put in the budget.
And it's coming out of the general fund, so.
Correct.
Yes.
So is there any further discussion on it?
This time.
Okay, anything else in the budget?
Well, I don't know where this comes in, but what about this building? Are we getting any grant to paint or repair this building?
Right now, we're working through the energy impact program that we signed up for, and I'm still waiting for status on that, but that'll come up in my report later on.
Okay.
One of the areas that we aren't directly impacted by this funding being taken away are areas that I can still seek grant money in. I'm still working with CDOT. CDOT has agreed to add us to their 10-year plan. That road project was not previously added to the 10-year plan for CDOT. It's in its final stages and set to be finalized in December. So I wrote them an email last month when I realized they did not include our road project in their 10-year plan. Because by being included in that 10-year plan, that affords us money to move into construction. The only thing that was listed on there was the 1.5 million that they were transferring to us to hold for the project. That would have been the mill and fill before we started this project. So when I asked that and I gave them my reasoning why, and I did tell them, I feel like in a community like ours, who've waited decades to get this work done, we will lose momentum and the faith of our citizens in getting that project off the ground. Right now, they see nothing. They only believe in the things that they see happening. When they see a shovel go in the ground, they believe we're making it happen. We're spending $1.5 million right now to design and engineer this entire road project from one end of town to the other. They don't
Not
see that.
including the bridge.
Not including the bridge. No, the bridge is a total, that's 12 million project that the state's paying for themselves. But, you know, they don't see what's happening right now unless they come to a community meeting, and that's been 2 community meetings.
As far as the highway, I mean, I know that's CDOT and it's a whole different thing, but I've heard some negative things about making it one lane.
Okay, I don't wanna get into the weeds of that
Okay,
right
okay.
now. That is not a discussion for this
That
right
has
now.
enough, okay.
But what I'm saying is, there are things that happen in this office every day that I don't send out a nightly email and say, here are the happenings of today. I'm just giving you guys an update. These are the phone calls I had. These are the emails I exchanged. There are things happening in this office every day that are moving this town forward. Your general fund has increased considerably since the day I walked in this door. And I reestablished your revenue streams that had been shut off for one reason or another. We have obtained grant funding over the last 4 years this town has never obtained. Next year, 64% of our budget is comprised of grants. And we keep moving forward with that. There are areas that we can continue applying for grants right now. I've opted us into Proposition 123 for affordable housing. When this school thing ends up getting rectified, we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole tonight.
There.
But, you know, that's prime property over there for affordable housing. We have a gentleman approaching the town right now, want to talk about affordable housing and annexing in his property to put affordable housing on it.
Can you explain, because I haven't looked into.
Okay,
what
so
that
affordable
means.
housing by state's definition. The town's threshold for affordable housing is $565,000. Anything $565,000 or below is considered affordable housing in Kiowa.
Okay.
So there is funding through the state under a Proposition 123 that gives funding to developers to help put in deed restricted affordable housing, so it stays affordable housing.
And is it only 50,000? That doesn't sound, is that what was in this proposition, the fast track? That's separate.
No, that's separate. That's a
Okay.
grant.
Okay,
And it gives, money grants to potential homeowners, trying to buy a home, you know? It has all sorts of funding mechanisms to it. That is not impacted by the energy impact funding. That has been severely minimized to balance the state budget, okay? There's other funding mechanisms, there's other foundations, there's many other places I can go to seek grant funding for infrastructure and otherwise. This $30,000 isn't gonna affect that
okay.
at all. In fact, it's giving back to the local business owners down this main street that don't have access to that funding now either, because they could have applied for other funding, grant funding,
But it's been shut off.
but it's been shut off. The money that should have gone to Main Street to assist them,
So
Has been
that's
shut
from
off.
Butte to,
that's from the
bridge.
bridge, that's from Elbert Road. Main Street is being identified from Elbert Road all the way to the other end of town.
oh, so they extended it evidently.
The state gave the Main Street Board the ability to define their Main Street area. And they have identified it from Elbert Road all the way down to the other end of town,
So is that to the water tower or to 134?
to 134.
Which I think is only fair because.
It is
if
fair.
They wanted something done with theirs and now they're not a part of it, but they're getting something done
Yeah.
there, then that.
We previously had been told that our zoning defined that, and we find out our zoning did not define that.
Yeah. So how did you come up with 30,000?
It's just a nice solid number for them to get off the ground with.
So it's just a beginning and
It's a
then,
beginning fund for them to get off the ground as
and
an
then from
organization.
there. Where
And
does
they're,
that,
and they need to do, they know they need to do fundraising throughout the year. They need to do the footwork. I'm the Main Street manager, and the only reason I'm called a Main Street manager is because everybody that organizes and manages these Main Street community boards all have varying titles. They're either economic development directors, they're town managers, they're tourism directors. It depends on your municipality.
Sure.
And they don't want to have to remember everybody's title. They give them all the same title. But I don't serve them the way I serve you. I don't serve at their leisure. I organize their meetings. I keep their reports for the state. I assist in their applications, but I don't keep their meeting minutes. I don't,
are you getting paid?
no, I don't.
Well, I don't mean to be, I just want.
No, it's okay. I don't. And it's,
All volunteer.
it's an all
Exactly.
volunteer board, and I volunteer my time outside my time with the town in helping them do what they're doing for the sake of your town.
When would that start? Like
It's
January
already
1st?
started. It's already started, but the budget would start January first.
Yes, the
Yeah.
funding will start. And take this in mind, it doesn't mean they're gonna go spend the whole $30,000 next year.
No,
They might use 10 grand of it
That's
and
right.
it can carry over then
Yeah,
to the next
absolutely.
year.
But it would ultimately be theirs, so if they only spent
Yes.
10, the following year they get
That's
20.
Right.
absolutely,
That would be my,
absolutely.
And this,
I would incentivize them if they got a 30, so. If they have a $30,000 budget, say they use 10 of it. And they roll,
And I
so
absolutely
they
agree
roll
with you.
20 over, so the following year,
And,
with their prudency, they could have a 50.
and by that time,
But,
they will have very well established what their work is moving forward to
Right.
tell you.
yeah, and sorry, cause I think I kinda. Probably from your side of the room, I probably felt like
And I
I was
am-
drilling, but at the same time. I don't,
Well, it has to be fair.
I just wanna know the direction and trajectory.
Well, and I'll let you know as we're talking about this mural.
So,
I have applied for funding from the state. There have been, I don't wanna call them investors that have come forward and they're putting money into a pot for this 150-250 celebrations in 2026. And with that, we found out that two girls in a mural who did the mural in Elizabeth are offering discounts for municipalities or otherwise that are willing to put a mural up for an in celebration of 150-250 that gives some patriotic theme to it. Okay, so when I found out about that from the DOLA ladies, I got down there and applied for money for the mural. For the 150-250. Okay, so we haven't got word about that yet. I also applied for some funding for our Colorado Day celebrations, because that will be our celebration for our town. For the state and the country's celebration this year. That's what I've identified for the town. So those grant applications have gone in for funding for those things. I just haven't got word about them. So it is quite possible that they'll get the funding for that, or even a portion of it. But I absolutely agree with you, Trevor. At the end of the year, when we go into 2027 and we're evaluating that budget moving into 2027, those things need to be taken in consideration when you're considering how much to give them, if any. It's all dependent on what they've done this year and where they've been. And they'll be in a better position to tell you where they've been in
Yep.
2026 and what their plan is moving forward in 2027.
Yeah.
To make that determination on what you wanna do with them next year.
Well, I think if someone needs the money and it's gonna help beautify the town, they should do it ASAP. Like, let them start as soon as they want to. If it's
Yeah.
gonna
help. And I have absolutely no problem sharing with you guys tomorrow morning when I come in. I will send you the minutes from their previous meetings and I'll send you their strategic plan, which was the very first thing they had established. So they knew what they were doing moving forward.
And we have some well-respected
Oh, yeah.
residents that are on that board. Joe from the Historical Society. Andrea Price,
It's realty.
yeah, who else is on there? Ashley, doesn't she do
Ashley
like the
does
social
PT.
media?
She does the social
Right,
media
and then
aspect of it. Joe is
Joe.
on there and, Jay Beer with the
Yes.
Lions Club and the Library District is on there.
Are they considered a full board? Cause I know that we had talked.
They are.
Okay,
They
so,
lost a couple, but they still have,
but they feel comfortable with the minutes.
they're looking for a couple more.
Oh, they
And I
are.
have reached out to the new, Elbert County, Chamber.
Mhm.
Cause they really would like to have somebody from the chamber on that board.
Cause they're able to determine how many people are on their board.
Mhm.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And not only the board, but then they're gonna make extensions into committees. They're gonna make a fundraising committee if they get enough board members. They're gonna, and if they don't wanna be a board member, they just wanna be a committee member. Then they have these committees they can fill out in these different areas, but they're looking, to fill out committees for economic development. Their fundraising activities, events that are special, or unique to their board over and above the town's events. So they have a lot of work moving forward. And they're still, they're trying to get off the ground and figure out what that looks like.
Well, and I think it's important as our board, how excited we were about it in the very first place, and it's very. Damaging to the way we feel, getting our money stripped from us, but I mean, it's.
But I can guarantee you, I'm not gonna allow that to affect what we do in our town, as a town, moving forward. We're not taking away from the citizens. We're giving it back to the local business owners. Who we've already taken it from the beginning. You wanna look at it that way. Circle of life, Bailey.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay, are there any more, questions from anybody on the whole budget?
No.
Okay. Seeing none. Does anybody, I guess I should ask, anybody online have any questions towards the, proposed budget? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna move out of public hearing. New business, discussion and possible action on resolution 13, series 2025. A resolution to adopt a budget and appropriate funds for the town of Kiowa.
Is this the resolution that I provided? Okay. And it actually goes a step further, so it's going to be a resolution that is adopting your budget. It also, gives authority to town staff and like mayor to certify your mill levies, which I'll have to do each year for the collection of revenue. And then the third step is the appropriation of funds based on what you are budgeting, what you're collecting from your mill levy, and then, yeah, it's just based on those two things.
Okay,
So I'm looking for the copy of that. The mill levy is based on what was certified to the town from the Elbert County assessor on the total valuation of property within inside the town. And based on what was certified in August, I believe it's 13.01 mils, is that correct?
13.107.
107. And language in here basically allows for their adjustment to the mills if the Elbert County assessor is to amend the total valuation, which they're allowed to do one time up until December 3rd. And basically, if they were to adjust the valuation, we have to use that final valuation number whenever we're doing our calculation of mills. So if we need to adjust it from 13.107 to 13.171. Basically, this would allow, the way we have the resolution set up is it would allow for that to occur. So, do you have any questions regarding the information in the resolution?
I like it this way, because we're not passing 3 or 4 different resolutions at the end of the year, it's all
Right,
in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically, I try to keep
Streamline.
most things separate, especially ordinances, those are always separate, but resolutions, I try to keep the items and the issues as separate resolutions, but for this, when you're dealing with the budget, the appropriation and the certification of mills, it's all connected. I put it into one resolution. Just kind of makes it easier. But if anyone has any issues with the budget and don't want to adopt it as presented, or if anyone has issues with the mills or questions, or with appropriation of funds as they're set out in your budget, then this is the time that you would let us know and we could make amendments to what this resolution states. If there are no changes or concerns, then y'all would move into a motion to approve the resolution.
any questions, comments? Then I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 13, series 2025.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay. Signing as we go along, so I don't get fussed at. Okay, discussion and possible action on resolution 14, series 2025. A resolution of the town of Kiowa, Albert County, Colorado, supporting the application to the Colorado Department of Affairs for the Main Street Candidate Program.
So, just like the title says, this represents the town of Kiowa's commitment to support the Kiowa Main Street program as they submit their final application to the state to become a fully designated Main Street community. The resolution formalizes the town's ongoing partnership and investment in downtown revitalization, economic development, and community engagement efforts through that Main Street program and will be included as a required component of that final application package.
So I have an issue. At the top says a resolution of the town of Paxton.
Actually, yours are incorrect on your packet. Sorry about that. That was
That's
caught
correct.
today and I did revise that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the packet has it correct.
Yeah, I did catch that today. Thanks.
Still isn't.
Okay, are there any
Good morning.
questions on that? Then I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 14.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Discussion and possible action on resolution 15, series 2025. A resolution of the Board of Trustees of the town of Kiowa adopting an expedient. I can't spit that word out. Expedited review, fast track process for qualifying affordable housing development projects pursuant to Proposition 123 and Colorado Revised Statute 29-32 105.
Do you want to talk to this? You want me to?
Why don't you start us off? I mean,
Okay.
done a lot of spearheading.
So this is a commitment by the town of Kiowa to adopt an expedited review process for affordable housing development projects. The action is necessary to maintain the town's eligibility for the Proposition 123 funding, and the policy adoption will occur in conjunction with the resolution. Proposition 123, approved by the Colorado voters in 2022, dedicates a portion of the state's income tax revenue to support the development and preservation of affordable housing. The program provides funding and resources for local governments, housing authorities, and developers to create, maintain housing that is affordable to working families, seniors, and essential workers. To remain eligible for this funding, municipalities must demonstrate active efforts to streamline approval processes and reduce barriers to affordable housing projects, which this resolution and accompanying policy adoption together accomplish. Josh, do you have anything further?
Yeah, I'll jump on. So underneath the Proposition 123 program, as Kim was pointing out, it allows for multiple different grant funding opportunities for different types of programs. So there's some grant funds that can be used by the town itself to help update your code provisions. So the cost that would go to anyone that would be assisting the town with updating its code provisions. You can have funding for that. There can be funding that a developer would get if the town is part of the Proposition 123 program. A developer themselves can actually get funding to assist with affordable housing projects. As well as individuals who are looking to get financing assistance through like Colorado Housing and Finance Authority, CHFA. So there's basically a giant chunk of funds that have been divvied out into different types of grant programs that can be used by different people. That grant Proposition 123 program that we are talking about is something that occurs each year and has been occurring for the past few years, that the town would look at, maybe looking to give you authority in the spring or soon for you to go for funding for underneath that program itself. What DOLA did in order to incentivize municipalities to adopt a fast track process, they basically said, if you adopt this fast track process by December 31 of 2025, we will give you up to $50,000 that you can use without matching, so you don't have to do a match to get it. In order for you to continue to update your code processes, your zoning code, your subdivision code, to make it easier for developers when they're coming in to have a streamlined process with affordable housing projects. Any and every municipality that's part of Proposition 123, in order for them to continue getting the regular funding, they have to adopt this by December 31, 2026. So they're saying if you do it this year, not next year, which basically is saying if you get this done faster, so people can maybe use this process sooner, we'll give you this bonus grant, is what I'm calling it.
So it's
So you
just for-
have to adopt this policy no matter what, in order to continue getting funding. But if you adopt it now, you can actually get grant funds sooner.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and Kim did a lot of legwork in getting this pushed through, including pushing me.
It's just for a developer though?
No,
No.
this particular resolution deals with the bonus 50,000 that would come to the town. And the town would be able to use it to pay your planning consultants whenever they are working with the town on updating the town's current zoning and subdivision code regulations to get them more streamlined and easier to read. So the public can actually look at your code online and know what they're supposed to be doing.
So it doesn't have anything to do with, building affordable housing.
So it does, but from a different perspective. Development itself has lots of moving parts. Of course, there's the developer and the landowners, but there's also the town.
So this is for the town.
This is for the town
Okay.
to make it easier for, I say easier, and it's not that it has to be easier, it's not the
because-
right word, it's
yeah.
more
Clear.
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 Yeah.
Cause you're not saying, okay, great, you wanna build houses, check, bye-bye. You're gonna have a established list of criteria
Yeah.
that they have to meet. And if they check all the boxes by their submittal, then it goes through within 90 days of the review process. If there's aspects of their application missing or not clear, then it doesn't get pushed through in the streamlined process. So it has to check all the boxes to be included in the streamlined
So
process.
is it saying that the town of Kiowa is going to approve affordable housing in a certain way?
No, you just have to make a final decision within a specific time period, which is what the policy that's in here outlines. So not only, taking a quick step back, it only applies for affordable housing, which is defined in here to meet the state statute. So state statutes basically have outlined what this policy has to include.
So it's 50,000 to the town of Kiowa.
For an incentive grant for
Yeah.
getting this done now rather than in two thousand
Stipulation.
twenty.
And to like update our code,
Yes.
some of it is old and
Yeah,
not clear.
so we're working with the attorneys, we're working with Safe Built to create a specialized process for just affordable housing projects that fall under Proposition 123.
And they're only affordable housing if they meet these very specific requirements that are in this policy. So just because someone might come to you and say, hey, I wanna develop 10 new homes, 9 of which will not be affordable housing, but one of them will. Well, that's only 10% of the homes would be
Mhm.
affordable housing, not 50%, which is
Yeah.
what's required here. So it would not be able to qualify for the fast track process.
Yeah.
So if a developer comes to the town and submits an application and that application meets all of the qualifications underneath the fast track process, then basically the town will review that application underneath this expedited review process. Which in truth, I've gone through and I looked at your subdivision code, and what I could find on the zoning code parts. And most reviews on the town will occur within 90 days anyways to a final decision.
By contract.
It just kind of occurs because you're smaller. You know, you don't have as many steps or as many departments or divisions that are all involved, that all have to have their hands on different applications. So things kind of already are streamlined in Kiowa. This policy just confirms that basically. So it doesn't make a real big difference other than while your code right now says things are to occur between 30 and 60 days, this just says we will have a final decision within 90 days. That final decision can be denial.
And
It
it's
could
at
be
each
approval with
stage
condition.
too. It's not
Yeah.
for the entire thing.
And I
So-
wrapped it that way too.
Yeah, it doesn't include entitlements or anything like that. This is just the application for the development. And then there's a second for the developer, and then there's a third for construction. So this is not a fast track through the entire process.
Yeah.
This is a fast track through the initial application of it. So I just wanna make sure we're clear on that, that they don't have 90 days to come in and give an application and then start building their houses.
Yeah. So forgive me if you have already answered this, but so say we go ahead with this and then we are granted that $50,000, is there a stipulation on like how fast we have to use that or, and what is that? Did you
1
say?
year.
1 year, okay.
Yeah, and Kim will have to actually take steps where she's providing to DOLA, kind of like what y'all wanna have the Main Street Board do. Just her saying, here's how I'm going to use the funds, here is bids I've received to cover those costs, it equals this amount. I would like to have that amount given to the town so we can use it. Once we do that, you would get the money, you would have 1 year from that point to actually use the 50,000,
Okay,
which y'all can do.
and just because planning committee has helped with a lot of this, would they be kind of involved in some of that, or is that more our board? Like
Just
for,
you're talking about like the code.
like, yeah,
So if
with
we
them
made,
helping with that?
yeah, if there are like code updates, yes, they're involved on those.
Okay.
This doesn't make any changes to your code, it only clarifies what's already a process in your code.
The polish and shine type thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is what DOLA really wants to see. And so if you did approve this, you would be approving the policy. You would be giving authority to Kim to follow through on taking all the steps she needs to do in order to actually get the funds. And then you would also basically be directing us to work together on going through your codes that you currently have and creating the streamlined application documents that would be needed, that we could give a developer if they do come along and say, hey, I wanna, apply And we can actually give them the document that they would need, because we don't have one right now.
Kim, have you had anyone approach you on affordable housing
We
ever?
have a proposal on the table right now. We have a meeting tomorrow.
No.
Motion to approve resolution 15, please.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna use that.
Okay, looks like we move to staff reports. Um, I don't really have anything to say except, when and if the Main Streets Board does a, movie again, you guys should really make a point to go to it. I mean, it was a kid's movie. Now, I'm 65 years old, my sister's 84 years old. But it was fun, it was just kind of going back reliving when I was a kid, and we went to drive-in movies. But the thing that was most impressive, my 84-year-old sister understood what the Main Streets Board was by that little film you guys did at the beginning of it. It was awesome.
So what we
So-
did is we showed Main Street America, which is the main street for the nation. And then I pulled part of being a part of the Main Street committee, being a Main Street community. What they'll afford them the ability to do is they'll bring in a videographer that will for free do a video of Kiowa for the Main Street program. And that's why we want to get some of these projects underway, because they're gonna highlight those. They're gonna come interview our business owners and their experience with the Main Street Board. They're gonna highlight some of the activities that the Main Street Board has accomplished in your town. And then they'll create a video for everyone to see. And what I did is I pulled those videos from all of the communities in the Eastern Plains. From here, well, from Elizabeth to Kansas. We're talking about Akron and Elizabeth and Hugo and Lyman and Lamar. And they're all maybe 3 or 4 minute videos, but they all highlighted what was happening in their communities and how Main Street has benefited them and all the areas that they have. So it gives you a really good insight as to what the capabilities are, and it really gets your brain going about what is possible here in Iowa. So,
Where does the Main Street Board meet?
Here.
When?
when, second. I'll have to go back and look, Jonathan, I can't answer that right now, they're on the calendar, but I can send them to you, and
Website?
I think they're on the website, yeah.
Second
I put them on the
Wednesday?
event calendar, it's on Monday.
It's on
It's
Monday.
on Monday, on Mondays.
Cause didn't
At 5
you meet
o'clock.
this week?
No,
No,
last
last
week,
week.
we,
First
Yeah.
Monday.
I think it's first Monday of every month, they've established that episode, and it's at 5 o'clock.
I saw the cars, so I didn't text him.
Yeah, I know. Taylor's used to them now.
First Monday.
Do we have any comments from the Board of Trustees?
I've been seeing Ted out and about, man, that guy
Everyone's been
is
seeing.
everywhere
Uh-huh.
all the time, but he's
very
doing
busy,
He's very
a
busy.
great job.
yeah,
Like, I
he's
walk
loving it.
frequently, and like my little walking path is like so clean and cleaned up, and there's no potholes, and he took down a bunch of branches, and
Mhm.
he's doing a great job as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
I've been able to. I do have, down in between our building and Echo, there is a manhole cover about this big
Mhm.
that came off today. I have an 87-year-old man that almost went through it.
Oh, no.
Can you have somebody come and take a look at that, please? Yeah,
Is it on the sidewalk or on
yeah,
the road?
it's on the
On the
side.
side.
It looks like it's electrical kind of thing there.
It looks like electrical in it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you could have him come look at that, please.
Yeah,
It's right there where those chairs have been sitting in front of the,
Yeah, that's what I was
Bush.
thinking, yeah.
yeah.
So they just leave those there, or is that now a sitting place?
I think somebody just left them there and we've just said, have a seat. You know?
Kinda what it's like.
Parades or whatever.
Yeah, so, or they were supposed to be a donation to Echo and we've just decided, we'll just let them sit there.
They live here now.
It's congregational area.
Anyway, and then I met with the seniors the other
Mhm.
day. And they are wondering if we have any way of helping them get assistance with updating their kitchen, because we had talked about it at the chili supper. And I don't know if we could do the East Council of Governments, if there's anything they can do to,
I have some conversation I'll have with you guys later
okay,
about it. But that's good to know, thank you.
okay. I just love them.
Me too, me too.
Any other comments? You're on, Kim.
You skipped Josh.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry.
No,
Oh,
it's 'cause
Miss
it says town
Bernie.
of town, doesn't it? All right,
I'll
so
say to Josh.
No,
unless.
you have the name tag now.
Last week, I sent an email out to all of you to your town emails. With a memorandum that relates to what was presented to the board at the last meeting. Which was the gentleman and his wife who were looking for a disconnection ordinance. From the town. And there was a question on whether or not the board of trustees could actually proceed with disconnecting land from the town by ordinance. So the memorandum basically provides a response to that and outlines what a process would look like. It's an attorney-client communication, so I'm not going into detail about it out here. But if there is more information that the board wants, then that would be something we can provide, or if you'll want to have more discussion on it. At this time, the gentleman and his wife, they have not actually filed a formal written application for disconnection or de-annexation, really called disconnection up. They haven't filed a formal application, so there's not anything for y'all to really discuss and take an action on. But you can give instruction to our office to work with Kim on getting together an actual formal written application that we can then provide to him. For them to actually file with the town to get that in front of you as an action item. So
How do we proceed with that? I mean, do we individually come or? How do we
there's,
get that application done?
oh, you
them.
just give us instruction for us to get that written application together. So basically, right now, the town doesn't have anything. If someone comes along and says, I want to file a formal application to disconnect my land from the town. The town doesn't have anything that they can give to that person and say, fill this out, sign it and give it back to me.
And that's why they haven't filled out application, because there's nothing to fill out. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
I'm assuming so.
so,
So basically, if y'all's board just instruct my office to work with Kim on getting that together, then we will. You don't have to take a formal action on it. You'll just give us some general instruction.
How did Digby do that? What steps did he go through? Is this the same
He
thing?
sued us to do it.
Oh,
He went,
right,
yeah, he went through a court system.
I was wondering that, Bailey.
Now, whether or not it's a good idea to
That was a different.
disconnect any land from the town by ordinance is a very different question. That we don't really need to, we're not gonna discuss it right now. We would discuss that during an executive session if it was in front of y'all. But right now, really, I'm saying you have the memorandum in your email for y'all to review. Do I have a general approval from y'all for my office as the town attorney's office to prepare a form application that then Kim can provide to this owner?
Yes.
Okay. Y'all are not approving the disconnection
Right.
or anything like that. We're just doing administrative work.
Right.
Okay,
Which needs to be done anyway, if there's
What's
the
the
process in place.
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, even if there wasn't a request, I think it's important that we have that.
yeah.
And you set a fee to it like 150,000.
um,
they sue us, remember?
Right.
Well, that's the natural course of action here.
there are some state legislature that occurred last year regarding gray water. And there'll be a memo coming to y'all on this, in the next. It's gonna be a short memo, but it'll be before our next meeting, is at the next meeting, there'll be an ordinance before y'all to opt out. Which basically what occurred, the way that gray water was handled under state law, it used to say. If a municipality wants to allow gray water to be used within the municipal boundaries, then the municipality had to actually enact an ordinance allowing it. State law last year flipped to where it now says if a municipality does not want to allow gray water to occur and set up a program for administrating it, then you have to have an ordinance that says it's not allowed. Town has not previously allowed it, so we're basically just gonna put an ordinance in front of you that says, yeah, we're gonna keep that the same status quo. And meet state statute by having this ordinance that says, we're not allowing gray water. Water rights and water usage really typically falls underneath your water authority. But the way that the state law is written is that it's making every municipality and local jurisdiction. Enact something that speaks to this issue. So it's not a big matter, I'm just letting y'all know it's gonna be coming to y'all, so it's kind of like a heads up.
So the state, just so that I get this straight, so the state legislation flipped, whereas before. We could use gray water, and now we can't use gray water, like for watering lawn, for instance.
Yeah, so the state law beforehand prohibited it, like no one could just do it. They would have to actually go, a municipality would actually have to enact an ordinance that allowed it. So no person could be like, well, the state law allows me to do this, so I can do it unless you tell me no. Previously, it said, no, you can't do it unless the municipality allows you to. And then it flipped, yeah. So now anyone could do it, and the town would have to implement programs that create a lot of regulation and monitoring, and you'd have to update your business codes that, not business, your building codes in order to deal with the actual infrastructure, and it's a big headache, so anyways. No one's really opted into it. Yeah, okay. The next thing is. Our firm does a lot of public financing work for different clients. So we have a lot of experience when it comes to all sorts of different type of financing districts. General districts, special improvement districts, business improvement districts, use of special fees. Downtown development authorities, urban renewal authorities, all these are different methods of basically. The town gaining revenue to work on infrastructure. So if we, as a town, are looking to do a sales tax increase so we can improve our roads. And if that fails, we have different options. One of them is. We look at doing a more robust public awareness program the following year. Before we get into the actual election time period. To basically get notice out to residents why a sales tax or a use tax increase would be beneficial. You get more public discussion prior to us actually doing an ordinance that submits a question. That keeps us out of the FCPA issues. We have these kind of discussions ahead of time. Another option is to look at doing a fee structure where you would basically create a fee system that allows the town to collect fees for very specific improvements. So sidewalk improvements, roadway improvements, similar. Other options are downtown development authority, which is basically created where any private investors that came in to do private development would be able to recapture any kind of increase of their property value. I don't wanna go into all that because it can get complicated. The question from me to y'all is the board interested in us providing you with information on these different types of financing mechanisms that y'all consider to help raise revenue for your infrastructure that y'all have?
I think raising revenue anywhere is a good.
But
multiple tool.
the residents have to vote on it? Or is that what you said?
The memo that I would provide you would give you information on how each structure is created. So under some of those, there is voting required. Under some of them, it's not required.
Then how does the money, where does the money come from if it's not required?
No, you said voting.
That'll be explained in the memo.
Yeah, so you were asking if voting was required. And I was saying, on some of these types of platforms, yes, it would be required, but not all of them.
So on the ones that are not required to have a vote, where does the money for the infrastructure come from?
The town would just implement it. And then it becomes a fee that's usually added to collection of either special assessments or through your property taxes, but it's not a tax, it's a fee. So, but that would be explained in the memo, yeah. Yeah.
And the state does it to us all the time. Of course, it's a tax, it's a fee.
Well, seeing as the way the last elections go, I think the more we know, the better off we are.
Now, haven't I been saying that? We should implement a fee. Thanks.
Well, that's where it goes.
I'm game. If it's the board's wish, I'm game with that. Let's increase the revenue, however we
I mean,
can
it's,
fix roads.
it's just gaining knowledge from your offer.
Right.
Yeah, and that's my commitment to y'all whenever I can hear, I don't want to just do something because I think it's a good idea. I want y'all to. What I just did now, say, here's an option for y'all, do y'all want this info? Yes, then I'll take the time and actually do it and provide it to you.
Yeah, I want to.
Yes,
I'd like to look at
Well,
that.
why would you do that? And our other attorneys didn't ever ask that.
We're not used to this, we're.
That's right.
Struck with.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You have to do this. It's okay.
I appreciate,
Sometimes those
I
happen.
appreciate what you're doing for us.
Yes.
Because my experience over the last couple of years, that hasn't.
Yeah.
And so it's made us question a lot. Yeah, so thank you.
And knowledge is power, so.
Yes, it
Give
is.
us all the knowledge.
I think that's it for me.
Okay.
And now it's Kim's turn.
Alrighty, so we're gonna start with the town parks project update. The first survey that went out garnered 116 responses, which is very good.
Yeah.
It reflected a wide range of community input. Among the most common requests were a request for a splash pad and a jump pad. In the discussions with the consultant, it was suggested that there would be adequate space in Fawn Valley to possibly accommodate a potential jump pad and a athletic field such as for soccer. We're also evaluating the feasibility and cost of adding a splash pad in Nordman Park's design, but those are all just conceptual at this point, based off the responses to the survey. An important discovery from this, I'm sorry,
Can I make a comment about that real quick?
yeah,
The Bond Valley Park, I heard somewhere that they're part of the proposal is taking down the volleyball court. Is
I'm
that,
getting to that.
oh,
Let me finish.
okay, well,
One of the important discoveries from the survey was that the sand volleyball court in Fawn Valley was originally constructed by a local Boy Scout troop. A fact previously unknown to this office. So based on that information, the decision was made to retain that volleyball court and instead relocate the planned bathroom structure to another area of the park.
thank you.
You're welcome. A second and final survey will be distributed in the coming weeks to follow up on the initial responses from the first survey. All feedback and data from both surveys will be compiled from inclusion in the final grant application, which is scheduled for submission in January.
That's my boy Trevor. Not Smith.
Who did the volleyball?
was there a problem with the deer in the volleyball net?
There is, so I think what we might do by maintaining that volleyball court is keep the net here in the office on a checkout basis. We've had an instance where a buck got tangled up in it and we had to have DOW come out and take care of the situation.
And he was there a long time because he was
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah, it was not a good situation and we had to replace the net.
Yeah, I got,
So,
gosh.
and those are expensive.
That do we use for trapping deer?
I don't think we have an active permit for that right now.
Just,
I know.
that's another one.
I know, I felt bad for
My
him.
daughter
Big boy was he?
He was pretty big.
Yeah.
I think I was the one that like.
I
one of the
think you
people
were the one that
called.
called, yeah.
But they ended up having to like cut its horns, getting rid of
Yeah,
it.
no,
So-
it was
Yeah,
pretty
he was
sad.
tangled.
Well, at least he didn't get put down, right?
Yeah, no, they were able to free him, but he wasn't as pretty.
He was walking like this.
What
Yeah.
about, the bathrooms?
What about the bathrooms?
Are we getting them at the parks?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've already got the grant established for those. We received $600,000 grant approval.
When will those be happening?
I don't have those yet because that's all dependent on the state and they process our contract. We're still finishing the contract with them. When we had to do an environmental analysis for that grant for some reason.
Okay.
So that took a while to get that done. But CDOT and Kimley Horn with the data that they collected for the road project were very instrumental in getting that done. So that was a lot of money we saved by reutilizing data already collected in that project.
Fantastic.
So that was great. Piggyback on the mayor, with her, report on Main Street. They did hold their first event on November 1st. They showed a movie called Coco, which was, for Dios de los Muertos. If you guys aren't familiar with that, is the Day of the Dead. It's a holiday that Texas, celebrates all the time. But it was a really cute movie.
Texans trying to turn us into Texas.
No. We do appreciate, I would like to push this out there. There was a lot of help from the Albert County Sheriff's Posse, town board members and staff families who came and assisted. We were very pleased with the outcome, while it was very modest attendance. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive. And we had strong community interest in continuing the event in a drive-in format moving forward. There was suggestion of doing it inside, maybe the school gym, or bringing your blankets to the park and laying down. And overwhelmingly, people are like, that sounds great, but we would like to maintain the drive-in aspect of it.
I think
So-
that's great. It was so chilly outside. It was really okay.
That was right on top of it.
Oh.
My sister says to me, but it's gonna be cold. I said, Pat, you're old enough to be my mom. I know you went to drive-in movies. And she said, yeah. I said, what did you do when it got cold? We started the car. We're gonna start the car.
How did people hear it? A radio station?
Yeah,
Oh,
you tuned into a certain radio
that's
station.
cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. I enjoyed it.
I
A lot
remember
of
we
fun.
used to have the speaker, you had to put it on your.
Yes.
Yeah, hung on your window.
Yeah.
This way you get a special station and that's
That's
where you have a.
Are they planning on doing another one?
The thought of.
Yeah,
Yes.
not right now, though.
Keep the ground straight.
Huh?
If they get funding.
They get funding, yeah. Continuing on, so we can get out of here. We have spent several months developing that final application to the state of Colorado for the Main Street to become a fully designated Main Street community. And that will be submitted next week. We are one of 4 communities, and don't ask me who the other 3 are, because right now I don't remember. As a reminder, our Kiowa Christmas event is coming up. It is featuring the annual Echoes Christmas for Kids kickoff. And it's gonna be held on Saturday, October 29th, starting at 11 AM.
November 29th.
This October, I even wrote November.
Yeah.
November
You said
29th.
October.
I told you that's why we need to get this done.
I
I'm
know, you're
tired.
tired.
Planning is well underway. It will be at the fairgrounds this year, and there are plans to leave it at the fairgrounds moving forward. We have moved it around. It has not been as successful as it was the last time we had it at the fairgrounds. So we will be leaving it there in the ag building, this year. We already have nearly, if not more, 24 retail vendors lined up
Yes.
for that event. These are not informational booths. These are people selling stuff. So,
Awesome.
And I
It
still
is-
have like 3 more add today.
yeah, and I just saw 2 more come in on email tonight.
Well, great.
So-
Okay, I'll get those.
It's a great opportunity to either finish your Christmas shopping or get started with it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there are some great ones coming in. We have a bunch from the fall festival and then we have a whole bunch of new ones. People are very excited. I'm gonna have to go to the ATM in time.
What time is it again?
11 to 3.
11 to 3 at the fairgrounds. We will start, it looks like we're getting some good response finally. Maybe mayor to the, parade, lighted car parade.
The registration,
Two
well,
right now.
1 registration and 1 inquiry.
Okay,
So get the word around about that.
yeah, we need some entries
Because
for the
if we
parade.
don't, we only have 2 cars, we're not doing a
Not a
parade.
It's gonna be
parade.
real
And
short parade.
what time, is the parade starting?
I knew you were.
We're gonna start lining that up at 4 o'clock and leaving
Yeah,
at
that's right.
4:30.
Yeah, 4 and leave at 4:30.
And then
it's
we will
supposed to-
end up here at town hall to light the trees and
Yep.
then you're done for the day.
And the trees are gonna be precisely.
At 6
As soon as we drive up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And then as far as town involvement with all of it, what all are you needing from?
Okay, let me finish.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So we already have Santa lined up. Cookies are being sponsored by Farmer State Bank again, hot cocoa and coffee sponsored by Dancing Jaguar. There will be voting on the creativity of the Christmas trees again this year. And it seems there's rumor that the sheriff's office may have to hand over their trophy to a new winner. We'll see. The face painter from Fall Fest will be returning for our Christmas event. And the bounce house will be back at our Christmas event and lots of other activities planned for the kids while the parents shop. Like I said, we're accepting registrations for the lighted car parade, looking for volunteers to help the evening before for tree check-in. So Erica needs as many people as possible to help this year with getting trees checked in the night before and set up the night before. Because right now she has 24 businesses
Wow.
that are volunteering to put a tree up.
She
For this event.
volunteered me, just so you know.
Okay.
I got a treat too.
So that'll be 5 to 7 out at the ag building the night before. We need help with tear down directly after the event, so when the event ends over there at 3 o'clock. We're trying to get that torn down in a really organized manner so that the people that are there can get it torn down and out to enjoy the parade, if the parade happens, and over here for tree lighting. In the past, what has happened is there's been a group of people left over there to do all the tear down themselves, and they're missing all the other stuff afterwards. So we're trying to get as much help to alleviate that, and everybody gets to participate this year.
Excuse me just a minute, and if we have a parade, I need somebody to be the judge. I don't want to do that since I put it together. So if anybody would be interested in judging, I would appreciate the help.
I nominate Katie Cole.
Right.
Honestly, cause I was like, I'll try to reach out to a few people to do it, then I can't be the judge.
That's it. Katie and Rick Colbeck could be the judge.
I think that's a great idea, actually.
Lighted car.
I might be able to just this
That's
Friday,
fine.
um,
For setup.
with the tree thing, but Saturday I'll be.
Okay. Let me know.
And I'm kind of opposite, I can be around all day on Saturday.
Okay. That'll be useful because this year what we're gonna do is we're gonna give, I've had since I walked in the store, I don't know why they're here, but I've had huge rolls of those little tickets they hand out for drawings, you know? We're gonna hand those out at the door. We're gonna take a note from the sheriff's event. When the kids walk in the door for the sheriff's event, they all are handed a ticket. And they put their information on the back of it and they drop it in a box for what they're voting on or what they're wanting to be
yeah, so each
Drawn
tree will
on.
have
a voting box.
we all have a voting.
Secure box where they can't put their. hands
Exactly.
in it.
Exactly. So the winner will be decided by tallying those number of tickets in those boxes, whoever has the
I
most.
can do that, I mean,
Yeah, so Taco Segura will be on site serving food, including breakfast tacos for all those there, morning setup. Saturday morning, that will start at 9 a.m. Okay, on Saturday.
Are you gonna send us an email about all this? that
I'll
you're
do
saying?
that. I'll send you an email tomorrow.
and then we just all respond on the times that
That's
we
fine.
can be
Yeah,
available.
we'll do that.
I took the day off, so I can do it.
Good, cool. Hey, it's my day off too. I'll see you there. I'll be there. So that's that. I'll send you an email tomorrow with all that information. Update on the storm drainage sidewalk project. We have received no response from the state yet on their review of the 60% design, at least to date. This is unusual kind of, but it is the state, so there you go. Lastly, and the only reason I'm giving you this update is because you all live in this town. And you all get the scuttlebutt, and you all are responsible for, like we discussed earlier, the communication that leaves this building and makes it out to the community, okay? So earlier this week, a local business reported that they removed a no parking sign that was placed near their cafe. After follow-up with CDOT and Kimley Horn, it was confirmed that the signage was part of a state permitted utility test drilling project, which we just discussed earlier, within the state right of way and unrelated to the town. The state advised that removing such signage creates direct liability for worker safety, and this information was relayed to the business. Due to the liability concerns, the office contacted the restaurant to advise them to replace the signs or allow workers to retrieve them. An employee confirmed the signs had been replaced and disconnected the call promptly with the town staff. Subsequently, the husband of the party, well known to the town staff and the town board, Miss Diana Edstrom, reached out to Kimley Horn from an email address of publisher@albertcountytribune.com, requesting the direct contact information for the town's road project manager. The email this request came from led Kimley Horn staff to believe that he was acting on behalf of an actual newspaper entity, requesting clarification regarding the work and its impact on nearby businesses. I instructed Kimley Horn staff to not respond to that email. I said the state had already provided to the business, by and through the town staff, any further inquiries should be directed to CDOT, their permitting authority. I made it pertinent to relay this matter to the board, given the past experiences of similar nature involving these subjects. That can lead to the potential for misinformation and misrepresentation related to the town or project activities. Again, so that's the only reason I'm giving that information to you and putting it on record. And that's all I have for my report.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's nothing for Public Works, and you will find the report.
Yep.
From code enforcement in your packets for third quarter.
That's a good question. I'm not helping this.
Yes.
How long will these signs stay?
What signs?
The ones where I can't park nothing.
Until they're done. And that is nothing to do with the town. It's a permit that's.
Right now, I should be able to park from that.
Are you gonna take that up with CDOT? I can give you the information of the CDOT office that's handling it. It has nothing to do with us. I can answer no questions. I can give no authority to do anything with the signs.
Okay.
I know they've been there all day because they were out here working today in those holes.
Yeah, they're drilling.
So I can give you the contact information for the permitting office with the state, which is who I corresponded with when this incident occurred.
It's because it's in CDOT's right of way.
It's all CDOT's right away.
Yeah, CDOT's right of way. They can,
But, I mean, when they barricade off I-25, they barricade off, they go to work, when they're done, they get shit out of the road. I mean, these guys are just,
Here's the
it's on
fine,
the curb.
here's the fine line you're running though. It's a state highway. And they can at any time decide there's no parking along that state highway if they so choose, because it's their highway.
And they're not there that long. I mean,
Well, I can't park now,
well, no, but they kind of move from one area to
Yeah,
another.
I noticed
but
that,
they don't
that
move
they were
their homes,
moving.
they don't, they got everything locked down.
Right, because they're probably gonna come back in the morning and they don't want your car parked there and then they have to go.
That is a requirement, actually. The reason that no parking sign was there that morning when they came in is their permit dictates that they have to mark that 24 hours in
Oh,
advance
okay,
as notification. They're gonna be working there the next day.
right.
And the hours that they're required to do this in is 9 to 3:30, so as to avoid rush hour traffic in the morning and not have to be working after dark. What I left off my information to you guys was, I was directed that the town is only allowed to work in front of that location during their dictated hours of the day.
Well,
And they had to get the information from CDOT, that CDOT calls that, not them. So anything that's done on that CDOT highway, we have
Yeah,
no
I think so.
influence of. But I'll say again, you're running the risk if you're throwing a big fit about things like this, that they'll say, fine, you know what, it's our highway. There just won't be any parking on a highway at all. And that's that. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing anybody can do about it. So,
So you don't have much room in your driveway, huh?
no. I mean,
We'll park on the other side of the street.
that's why I'm now, but, you know, piss off that neighbor, 'cause
Oh, well, you
the-
have the right though.
other question I have, what off the right park on my side of the street right now. The other question I have, and I just, and it's more so for clarification.
Mhm.
The old scheduled signs on the snow route used to be between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. So when they first did the snow route in the 80s, and 86 is part of the snow route, you cannot park there between 10 and 3. It was 10 p.m. or 10 p.m. to 7 in the morning. Right now, it says something that you can't park there.
During
Conditions
snow conditions.
exist.
Mhm.
So does that mean we haven't got snow yet, but when we get snow and we get ice and it stays with us from now, let's say it snows this weekend, it stays with us from now till May 1st. That technically means that there's no parking on 86 and Kiowa.
If we're getting a report that snow is moving in and the likelihood of it is very high, then there should be no vehicles parked there. If you see snowflakes falling and you know that there's been enough to cause plowing to occur, move your car.
So it's Wednesday at noon and we got light flurries, so there's no parking along 86.
Are they gonna plow for light flurries?
I don't know.
Trevor, you know they're not gonna
I-
plow for
So,
light flurries.
so let me go back to my question. Who did the signs? Is that us? Is it
CDOT.
CDOT?
There's-
It was-
Nothing to do with
Okay.
it.
And I will tell you
That's all.
too, and Teddy will tell you, they will start towing now. If there's vehicles in the CDOT right away and their plows are trying to plow through there. And this started because of the uproar that happened with the icing down the hill. And CDOT was called in to mitigate that because it got so bad. They're not gonna allow that to happen again. So they will start towing vehicles that are parked there.
So I really wanna follow this, and I think we all should follow this, cause I've been here long enough. That, by God, CDOT's only worries about 16 foot off the double yellow line, anything outside of that, it's not our responsibility to plow. So we're always using town guys and town plow trucks to clean out the gutters while they try to, I mean, it's a fight. So now that everybody's here, we're all on the same page. If this is the way it is, then they damn sure better plow the gutters.
And is that what they're talking about doing?
If that is the way it is, I'll play by their rules. You want it, but you own it all. It's not pick and choose.
Trevor, I'm gonna be honest with you about something, okay? I think there's a lot of emotion in this conversation right now because of where you park personally. I personally will not be picking a fight with the people who are giving us the money to repair our roads.
Right.
I
And
just
it's
started to
millions
say,
and
yeah,
millions of dollars
yeah,
over somebody who's upset
start
because they
grumbling.
can't park in front of their house for a period of time.
we start grumbling.
And I have
they
no
say,
problem
"We're
not being able to
doing
park.
your work."
But if that's why I can't park is because they wanna be able to plow it, then they ought to they ought to plow.
This is a very specific conversation directly related to your situation, a personal situation. This is not a town overall problem. So I would recommend you personally, without identifying yourself as a town board member, if you want to take this up, call the CDOT office and discuss it with them. But I would not do this as a representative of this entire town because you are the only one that is upset about this because you can't park in front of your own house.
At the same time, it is a town deal. If we have to worry about making sure our town public works guy goes the extra mile cleaning out the curbs and gutters.
Well, how about if we, do we have those signs out there anymore? Cause I haven't seen them. Hours of operation for plowing.
No, it
and
says,
Park.
it says when conditions exist.
Yeah, but we can't put them
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
CDOT has to,
you're right.
we
So-
can't do any of that.
And I mean, this goes back, cause I've lived right there since 2010. So we've had conversations every winter and they're like, John Appleton will say, we're responsible for the center 2 lanes. Outside of that is not CDOT's responsibility. We're responsible, but then all of a sudden there's something that comes up, oh, this is our right of way. So the discussion is, what's your responsibility and what's your right of way? I really don't. You know, and it's not just stuff that affects right there, it affects downtown and in other parts through the town. Where they argue, well, it's right of way, but it's not a responsibility. And I don't need to pick a fight with them, but
But you are, and it's gonna create a problem
no, I'm just,
for this office, because we have I've established a very good working relationship with them, and they do a lot of things for us that they do not have to do at all.
So that.
And I will not do anything to jeopardize that for this entire town.
So I just, can I ask for clarification then, cause I understand where Trevor's coming from in that. In the past. CDOT has only plowed a certain amount of the road and then left a certain amount from, because the ice was building up. Has that changed then now? Are they?
Potentially change if we stir up trouble with them, because they were under no requirement to plow that to the center lane and then remove it themselves. That would have been up to us.
Okay,
What they're required to do is plow it out of the lane, period. And they were coming through and plowing that to the curbs and over onto the sidewalks, therefore creating more of a problem for the
Right.
businesses and the residents living along the highway. But they reached an agreement at some point before I came in this office to plow it all into the middle of the highway. And then they come in themselves and clean it up and remove it to wherever, I don't know where they remove it to. But
Under the bridge, I think they
under the bridge, or they were doing it down Kiowa Bennett Road in that field past the mobile home park too, or on the curb line there, anyway. But there's a lot of things they do that statutorily they don't have to do. They reached an agreement at some point with people in this town to do these things to ease the burden it put on us, because we don't have the staff or the equipment to do a lot of it.
right.
So that's why I'm unwilling to pick a fight with them.
Well, and I didn't ask you to pick a fight. I was just wanting to know if something had changed and they decided to change, if they decided. So the answer is no, they haven't.
Is there,
Not,
is there
as
a,
of this time, but we have Ted now. So Ted is acutely aware of how this needs to be handled out here on the highway.
And a lot of light.
He can handle a lot of that without having to get CDOT involved in it, because he's done it for so long.
Good, all right, thank you.
So when it gets reduced down to 2 lanes, he's already devised a plan on how to handle it when it gets reduced to 2 lanes.
to answer your history question,
Uh-huh.
Blizzard of 77 was when they pushed everything to the middle.
Okay,
And that's where that all started.
so they've been doing it a very long time, when statutorily they don't have to.
I was gonna say they've been doing it since I was in high school.
And statutorily, they don't have to.
is there anything in the town, say as in Fond Valley, that, that anyone thinks would be a good idea for all these people, and I know they don't have places to park their 10 cars, but when it snows and they park on the roads and the road is so narrow, such as Shasta Court, only 1 car, it's like 1 lane basically, because everyone parks their vehicles. Is there anything that can be done to make a snow route or some kind of rules for the residents to not park their 10 cars or trucks on the road so that Ted can plow? Is that
It's-
something that the town can think about?
It was discussed. And I can tell you from plowing, it's tough.
It's a nightmare. You
But
can
we're
hardly get
trying
here.
to, it was discussed that we, like everybody on the north side. There was only parking allowed on the south side of the street.
On Shasta, it's only on the north side.
Where it was only allowed on one side versus the other, but it just,
I worry about emergency vehicles getting down through there.
It's hard.
Yeah.
and
Something like
the
that.
other thing.
And be able to turn around.
Josh,
So-
is that a revision to the code that would have to happen in
The
order
other
to
thing
enforce?
that happened
Yeah.
was that the coldest,
It's already in there.
They piled it up in a big pile.
You
they piled it up in the middle on a cul-de-sac. It was, east cul-de-sac, Shasta Court.
Right, okay, they do, they make a big.
Vehicles and-
And we had a water emergency. And we had to figure out how to move the ice glacier to get to.
Have a
Shell.
day, right?
Okay, guys, we need to go ahead and get moving on here.
Yeah.
We still have a full agenda. I would like to do, consent items and then maybe take a 5-minute break. I need to get up and walk around. I'm hurting sitting here, so. Did you address the code violations? They're in our packets.
Yeah, the report's in the pocket.
Okay, consent items, do we have approval for the minutes from October 14th monthly meetings?
One second.
Okay.
Hold on. Tammy and Bailey?
Yes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Okay, next expenditures for year to date. 2025. Did you take a look at those? And I'll entertain a motion to approve those.
So,
Bailey and Trevor?
Yep. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. Let's take about a 5-minute break here. Let me walk around and then we'll get back at it. Is board training, so. Josh is up.
So, hold on.
Are we doing some board training tonight?
Yes,
Did you keep it simple, Josh?
yeah, it's just about ethics.
Okay.
Dude,
There's no ethics in business.
Say what you mean what you say, done.
yeah.
Okay. I'm with Jonathan.
Do what's right all the time. No matter what.
hey,
Alright,
you got it now.
do you want me to control it?
Oh, just tell me when.
Okay. We'll wait. Alright, so training tonight, we're gonna do a quick review of the prior training that we did last month. This training is focusing on code of ethics that the town has in place that controls the board's actions and also Governmental Immunity Act. It's that. So review of the prior training. Keep in mind that the town structure is that you have the Colorado Constitution. You have the town's home rule charter. You have the town municipal code and ordinances. And then you have policies and procedures, which are typically enacted by resolutions. So these are the authority whenever we're doing any kind of interpretation of what law is controlling from top to bottom. Board actions, you act as a board, not as individuals. You act through ordinances, resolutions, and motions. The other things we covered were the Colorado Open Meetings Law and the Colorado Open Records Act. For the Code of Ethics overview, basically, we're gonna be talking about the main points, which are conflict of interest, decorum and order, inappropriate conduct, confidential information, gifts, and correspondence. Going into Code of Ethics, your legal basis for the Code of Ethics are outlined on this screen, which goes through the Colorado Constitution, the town's home rule charter, Colorado revised statutes, and also your policy that you'll have enacted previously. And as you can see, you have it on there. Yeah, okay.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. You did say we want to move quickly, right?
Yeah.
So conflict of interest is defined in y'all's code, or for the town board of trustees as a personal or financial interest under your charter. Underneath your policy that y'all have adopted, it goes even further and it says it's a personal or private pecuniary monetary interest, which is financial. Or has a spouse or family member who has a pecuniary monetary interest in the item proposed or pending before the board of trustees. So your charter says that if you as an individual trustee have a personal or a financial interest in a matter that is coming before the board, you have a conflict of interest, which means that you can't vote or you can't participate. It's described later. Y'all have actually taken it a step further and created even more of a restriction by saying that if you even have a spouse or a family member who has a financial interest in a matter coming before the board, that you have to recuse yourself due to a conflict of interest. That's also under state law, so your policy really just kind of mimics what's in state law. A financial interest is a substantial interest held by an individual, which is, and it has them listed out. So ownership, interest in the business, creditor interest, land ownership. If you have a directorship or ownership in the business,
So does that,
officership, sorry, not ownership. I was like, I just repeated myself.
does that mean you don't vote? Does that mean, or does that go into detail about?
Next slide, please. Oh, I did the examples. It's coming up.
Okay.
So some examples of a conflict of interest. So basically, if a trustee votes to remove a town encumbrance on property owned by an entity, a business. The removal of that encumbrance directly and substantially benefits the entity. And that trustee is a representative or agent for the entity or an employee of that entity. That is a conflict of interest that has just occurred because you've taken an action that's official to benefit that business, and you benefit from that business directly as an employee or as any kind of interest holder. That's an example of a conflict of interest. Another one is where a trustee votes to increase payment to an entity that has a contract with the town. Trustee had begun negotiations for future employment with that entity at the time that you voted. And then the trustee has a personal or private interest in the vote of the entity's budget. So that situation is if you have an application or a discussion with a contractor that the town uses and pays money to, and the issue comes up before y'all on whether or not you're gonna increase the amount that y'all are paying them via contract. If you vote on that, you've actually committed an issue and a conflict of interest has come up because you actually have a potential interest in that company for a future standpoint. Another example is where a trustee votes on question regarding reimbursement of costs incurred by the trustee. So that actually has happened where a county commissioner approved a consent agenda for payment of fees. And on there was reimbursement costs to that county commissioner for costs that they incurred personally, but they didn't recuse themselves from voting on it. And later it was determined to be a conflict of interest. Because really, there should have been discussion on whether or not those items were sufficient to be reimbursed.
And then what happens after that? It goes back to a vote and then he's like recused himself for the vote or what? How does that basically?
There's lots of ways to fix it, but that's a good way, you know, in that kind of situation. What is not a conflict of interest? And just to clarify real quick, these examples of conflicts of interest are extremely minimal and narrow. This is a very gray area of law. There is no real definite yes or no on whether a conflict of interest is occurring unless you meet the very specific language that's in your code section, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. What is not a conflict of interest? So if a trustee votes to approve a general policy of the town that applies to all businesses, but all businesses benefit from this policy, that is not a conflict of interest, just because you might be an owner of a business that benefits from a general policy. Trustees voting on items that is general to the public in general. Even if you personally benefit from it, it's not a conflict of interest. Because if everyone who's a resident of the town benefits and you all benefit, everyone benefit, who could vote on, right? So yeah, as long as it's a general policy issue, it doesn't matter if you end up benefiting as long as it's generally applied to everyone the same way. Gray area comes involved whenever you start to look at a whether or not an action is inappropriate or raises concerns on on whether or not it looks good publicly. If, for example, a policy was approved that generally benefits a certain type of business and you happen to be the only person in the town that owns that business. Like, is that allowed? Is it a conflict of interest? It's not really a conflict of interest because technically another business could come along and also benefit from the same policy. But at that moment, it really wouldn't look good, so you might recuse yourself from voting on it or participating just because of the appearance. So what we're looking at here is there's gonna be certain times whenever you must recuse yourself because it is clearly a conflict of interest. And then there's some times where you're gonna wanna probably recuse yourself because it just doesn't look good.
So do you say, or do you ask before the vote, if you could vote? If you.
Next slide. Yes.
Okay.
So disclose potential conflicts of interest. If you have a potential conflict of interest, you must disclose it in advance. You should disclose it to the board and you should disclose it to the both of us. Your charter requires that you do a disclosure to the board. Your charter also requires that the board make a determination on whether or not that conflict of interest exists and how to handle it. Voluntary disclosure acts as a defense to later allegations of impropriety. So if you have what you believe is a conflict of interest, you can always start off by contacting my office, talking to me about it, giving me the facts. We can then determine whether or not it's a conflict of interest that should be or must be informed to the board. And then you can take the next steps. The board at that point in time, all the other members, not the person who's actually disclosing the interest, would vote on whether or not it is an interest, a conflict of interest, and then also on how to handle the next steps, which could be depending on whether or not it's a clear conflict of interest versus impropriety. If it's a clear conflict of interest, then y'all have already created policies that says you can't even be in the room. You have to leave the room, no discussion, no influencing the vote, no voting. Unless the exception applies, which is on the next screen. Oh, I wasn't ready
But
yet.
if you don't know if it is or not,
If the board determines that they don't think it's a conflict of interest, the trustee themselves can still excuse themselves from the vote if they
Okay.
just think from an impropriety, like it just looks better that they not vote.
Okay.
Your code says that if someone abstains from voting, then we count it as a yes vote, except in this circumstance. If you recuse yourself or you're excused from voting because of conflict of interest, we don't count it as a yes vote or no vote. It's just doesn't.
so if you don't vote on something, that's an automatic yes? Like,
Yeah.
That's under, yes, under your regular code.
Yes.
If something's before y'all and
You
you
abstain.
and you just wanna abstain, your code says it is counted as yes.
Yeah.
Unless you have a conflict of interest. If you have a conflict of interest, then it doesn't count as anything.
Sorry, I misunderstood that.
So, next slide. So if a conflict of interest exists, so the board has determined one exists, or you yourself are recusing yourself because of impropriety in the way it looks. And at the end of this, you can see in brackets, I've put in where in your charter section language is, in your town policies, code sections. So if y'all want to, you can go back and look at all this up yourself. But I'm just overviewing the quick little. main
Yeah, that's
points.
to you tomorrow.
Yeah. The trustee shall physically leave the meeting room and refrain from participation in any consideration or discussion by the board on the item. Trustee shall not attempt to influence the decision of the other trustees, and the trustee shall not vote on the item unless the exception applies. The exception applies when a trustee or that individual trustee is needed to meet a quorum. So if we need someone here to meet a quorum of the board, then that trustee can vote, but they can't participate. They still have to leave the room. They can't influence the other trustees. But at the time that the vote is being called, that trustee could come back in and vote on that issue in order to meet quorum. And that's the only exception that applies. Cause otherwise, no action could ever occur on it.
How do you know, the situation, so you get to sit through through the discussion? Okay, well, how do you know anything then about the issue? How do you know?
Because you've already recused yourself.
If you have a conflict of interest. You know you
You
have a
already
conflict
know.
of interest because
You already know the
you already know
situation.
the situation. You already know which way you're gonna be voting,
Gotcha.
truthfully. Yes, sir.
I really appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to train the board. I really appreciate the fact that the board and the staff makes the commitment to be here for this time. I'll give you an example. On Monday night, Chester Barnes is a trustee at the town of Callahan. He's also a member of the Fire Protection District and is included in training personnel at the fire department. The issue before the board that night was to approve an intergovernmental agreement plus the impact fees of $777 per household. Mr. Barnes was involved in the discussion. Mr. Barnes did attempt to influence the board. The ultimate vote was unanimous, and Mr. Barnes abstained from voting. Do you think he should have recused himself?
Can't tell you, I'm not looking at their code of ethics. Yeah, code of ethics, they change, it really depends, so,
Just my opinion.
yeah. Plus I don't wanna confuse anyone here by going into what another town or, local government has in place for their laws, cause they do change. Okay, that is interesting to bring up. So, again, if a conflict of interest exists, then these are your shells and shall nots. Next one. Rules of conduct, your policy has a lot of the same rules of conduct that are in the state statutes, and then your policy goes on to say that that the state statutes apply. So I've put those in here for you. The copy of the policy, I'm sure can be made available to y'all, if you ask for it, if you don't have it already, y'all's code of ethics policy. These rules of conduct basically outline things that you as a board trustee can get in trouble for if you do it. Or if you do these, or a fine by a beyond reasonable doubt, and some of the criminal mischief issues that y'all can get into. So it's not a bad idea to take a look at these and make sure that you're not doing them.
Like dancing on the bar.
It's basically yeah, so. Yeah, it's basically do not use confidential information you learn as an officer to your personal financial gain. So if you learn something that the town is considering to do, you can't turn around and take that information, especially if it's not public, and then do an action to benefit from it financially. Do not loan money to or enter a business arrangement with employees or staff. Do not vote on items that benefit business you own or have an interest in. That's actually the clearest conflict of interest, obviously. Do not accept discounted services or goods from a contractor that provides services or goods to the town under a contract. That's a very brief summary of what those different points are. Next slide, please. You'll also follow the ethical principles guidelines. These are guidelines, so they're not necessarily you will be held liable or in trouble you won't be held liable from a criminal standpoint if you do these, but you'll have adopted your policy that says that these principles and guidelines apply. They should be followed. They help remove the appearance of impropriety to the public, because y'all are supposed to uphold the public's trust in you and how you are, handling town's matters, funds, business. Okay, next slide. Gifts, the town's policy, so the trustees shall not solicit or accept directly or indirectly any gift of substantial value, which would tend to improperly influence a reasonable person in his or her position to depart from a faithful and impartial discharge of your public duties, or which or a reasonable person in your same position under the same circumstances should know is probably for the purposes of rewarding you for an action that you've taken. Substantial value is not defined in your charter or your codes or policies from what I could find. However, the Constitution of Colorado has set a specific amount that's increased by inflation each year. And right now, I believe it's about $76. Yeah, so
Be insulted.
aggregate. $76 at an aggregate or $76 fair market value at one go, doesn't matter. So if someone's giving you $25, 25 gift card, 25 gift card, 25 gift card, 25 gift card, you've maxed out that 76 and you've actually gone into this gift issue. Yeah. And you can get in a lot of trouble for accepting gifts. So be very careful about that. Colorado revised statutes. I put those on here as well that basically just provide more information on gifts. The very last one, it's not a breach of your duty and or of the public trust for you to accept or receive a benefit as an indirect consequence of transacting your local business. That goes into what I was talking about earlier of if y'all vote on a policy that benefits y'all as residents or just as a general visit, general business, like you're not breaching anything by doing that, as long as it's applied to everyone the same. Next slide, please. These have more information on other interest restrictions, so interest in contracting, so who you as a town and board can contract with and what y'all can do if y'all are business owners in contracting with the town and what you have to do if you are in such a situation. Sales and purchases, and also the no appointment to office created. This goes into any kind of scenario where if the board was to create an office that's a paid position and then one of you then leaves the board and then wants to go fill that position to get paid. Since you voted on creating that office, you don't get to do that. It's not for a period of time at least. So it's not a bad idea to read through these so you have an understanding. Okay, next slide. Okay, ethics and conflicts of interest. So again, generally, we're referring to financial interest as a direct or indirect. So your family members, your spouse, if they own a business and an issue's before y'all to vote for it, you have to recuse yourself. So it's not just your own personal interest in a business, it's family member and spouse. And then on here it says, it can constitute breach of fiduciary duty and subject to criminal actions, which are true. Pretty much almost every decision has a potential for an ethical pitfalls. For example, the county commissioner who voted on the consent agenda to just approve the, payments. The facts don't tell us whether or not that person actually knew that their reimbursement was on there or an issue. It doesn't matter because they voted on it. So that's why you should always be reviewing everything to make sure that you're protecting your own self. Also, because that's your job as the board of trustees to review the information you are voting on. Act as if what you do will be on social media because it will. It's part of the impropriety, side of it, there's clear actions that are conflicts, and then there's that big gray area. So just be ready to defend yourself if you need to. Best to disclose conflict or potential conflict in order to get ahead of any kind of bad publicity. And also it is a defense from a criminal standpoint. And then the prohibited actions basically kind of outline what we already talked about. All right, next one. Penalties, removal from the board. So your code and your town policy allows the board to remove members by a vote of the board. If they have breached their fiduciary duties, and for different reasons as well. You can be issued a reprimand, a warning, censure, and sanctions. And then also on here, Colorado law has a class 2 misdemeanor, fines up to 2 times the amount of benefit obtained or you're attempting to obtain. If you were to be found as basically, embezzling public funds through creating scenarios that you're making money off of the public. So keep that in mind. Next, we are moving into governmental immunity, the Colorado Governmental Immunity Act, or CGIA. Slide. It's just a high level overview of how the CGIA works. So the CGIA is what protects the town from torts or anything that could be brought into tort or negligent actions in some ways. It shields y'all from those liabilities and actions that arise out of torts or could arise in a tort. There are exceptions, of course there are, because it's law. So sometimes, even though it might be a tort, it could fall outside of the CGIA, but that's why we're here in our office to help protect the board in town and try to keep everyone on the right page, so that way we don't fall outside of the CGIA protections.
Does everybody know what a tort is?
No,
It's it is going to be, thanks, fellas, like negligence. Someone's walking down the street and they trip on a crack on the sidewalk, or fall into a manhole that is town property and managed. The town can't be sued underneath negligence for failure to protect that person from the manhole or from the cracks, as long as it's reasonable amount of time. Like if the manhole needs to be covered and we find out about it tonight, and tomorrow someone goes out there and puts a sign up or puts the thing back in, whatever, you've taken reasonable action as a town to protect yourself.
what about like ice and snow, or if someone falls?
Yeah, those are torts.
Well, doesn't the insurance or that? That's not part of the insurance from the town, it's different.
So the town, how would you handle that? I mean, I'm assuming what y'all would do is, if a claim came in, y'all would hand it over to Sursa, and Sursa would just send them a letter telling them whether or not they are covered. Yeah,
I forwarded on to our insurance company, and at that point, it's in insurance's hand on how to handle it.
So what's the difference with that or a tort?
those are torts. Torts is just the damage caused, the action that causes damage to a person or property. Is,
Right.
so the tort is just a legal term of saying how the actual act of something that causes damage.
Okay,
Like
Yeah.
falling in the manhole,
Yeah,
slipping on the ice.
but the actual act was failing to put the manhole cover over the hole.
Back after being notified of it.
Yeah, so it's a failure to meet a duty of care. That's what it is.
by the town.
Or
Or-
whoever.
Or
It's
anyone,
on town property.
yeah.
So you know about the manhole cover and now next month somebody falls in because it never got fixed. Now we're in liability,
Yes.
isn't it? Yes.
Potentially. I'm not gonna say yes to that one being recorded.
You don't want them to.
Well, like if you shovel the sidewalk and then it snows some more and someone falls. Or it ices over, that's not really. Their fault, it's not really the town's fault. But then,
That legal.
Yeah, that it would go to Sursa,
yeah,
and Sursa would make a decision. CGIA is helpful because it also allows for early determination of whether immunity exists, which is that sending it over to Sursa for them to review the facts and determine whether or not immunity exists. It sets a ceiling on awards in cases where there is no immunity. So in those rare instances that something falls outside of the CGIA, it has damage caps. It requires claimants to submit notice, await response before going to court. So someone would actually have to follow the procedures under CGIA. They can't just turn around and sue the town. And also employees, elected and appointed officials, volunteers are immune and entitled to defenses under the CGIA unless your actions are willful and wanton. Willful and wanton conduct results in the loss of governmental immunity. Conduct in willful and wanton is defined as conduct purposefully committed, which the actor must have realized as dangerous, done heedlessly and recklessly, without regard to consequences or of the rights and safeties of others. So you have to really know that the action you're taking, the decision you're making will basically cause physical or financial harm in some form. And you have to really know that and do it. And then you are getting to that willful and wanton. So it's not just negligent, it's not just a disregard of something that could potentially be bad. You have to intentionally really want it to happen. Okay, next. So federal actions can arise whenever we're talking about land use development reviews. There are constitutional protections for land use. There are procedural constitutional protections as well. They can be brought as 1983 claims. In these, the CGIA does not apply. Public officials enjoy absolute immunity for legislative acts. So if you're doing a legislative action, you're good. If you're doing quasi judicial action, then the town can kind of get into some areas of concern, which just so happens to be our next training session. Public officials enjoy qualified immunity if there's a good faith belief in the legality of your act. So as long as you reach out to, your attorney, and your attorney is giving you legal advice and you're acting on that in good faith, then you're pretty much protected. It's our way of keeping ourselves around. Section 183 claims, so every person under the color of law who deprives another of constitutional rights can be named in these types of actions. And failure to provide due process in a quasi-judicial hearing is a constitutional violation that falls under 1983 issues. Again, we'll go into those more later, the next training. But the point of this is the CGI doesn't protect the town from these types of actions. And there's no monetary limits on damages for claims underneath these types of actions. And the other side, if they win, can get all of their attorney's fees. So it is a good idea for the board to be aware of what actions they can and can't take and how they should proceed with land use development types of applications to avoid these types of potential liabilities for a town. Okay, next slide.
What if your lawyer gives you bad advice?
Then we're falling underneath the prior one.
Okay,
You mean the other ones, right?
yes,
So public official liability insurance, so you'll do fall underneath CERS's umbrella, as we were talking about earlier. So as long as your actions are not willful and wanton, then y'all can be protected underneath CERS's insurance policy and blanket, as well as the CGIA. If y'all take willful and wanton actions, then you are removing yourself from the protections that are out there for y'all. Next slide. So these are final considerations offered by CERSA. As a municipal official, you now have a leadership role on behalf of your community. So you are acting underneath the public trust that's granted to you. Irrespective of all the different types of laws, rules, and theories of liability and the protections that are out there for you, the risk of lawsuits and liability is reduced the most often by the board acting in openness, fairness, predictability, respect for processes, which goes into why it's a good idea. We're looking at getting funding to help get some of our code updates that make predictability, openness, and fairness a lot clearer for everyone. Next slide is just the next topics, which is the quasi judicial matters and your public hearing procedures for those types of matters. Any questions? More questions?
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes, Mayor.
And I'm gonna bring this back to you, Kim and I had this discussion. When we had the chat with the mayor, I understand that we can't use taxpayer money to provide coffee and appetizers for them. Okay,
And going forward.
we can?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say, is there an issue if I were to donate that
As an individual.
as an individual?
The only reason for that particular conversation with the mayor, that there were limitations on what the town could provide financially for coffee or pizza or drinks.
Okay.
It's because of the voting issues on the election ballot matters that y'all had certified.
Okay,
And that means that the FCPA, the Fair Campaign it is. Fair Campaign Practices Act was in play.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That would be looked at as we were trying to influence, possibly.
Especially if people came there and the discussion was nothing but the tax incentives that were put on the ballot.
Gotcha.
And in that case, you're expending town funds on an event that you are at as mayor. That's covering nothing but those tax issues. So.
Okay.
It's just a way of removing that potential liability.
Okay, makes sense.
But you as a citizen that donate that, is that right?
Yeah, as a private citizen, you can spend as much money, as a private citizen, you can spend some money on those kind of things. If you hit certain amounts, you have to start reporting them.
$76.
Yeah.
That's gifts.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
About, this is off the subject, but about, sidewalks with snow on them. And you have 24 hours or whatever it is to clear your sidewalk in front of your house or your business. What, legally are you? Or how, what can I get sued about if I don't comply? If someone falls or gets hurt? This is a different subject, but
Yeah, and you're asking on a personal
Yeah, I
basis
was
for
gonna
personal legal advice, and you can't do that as a board
Yeah.
member. It has to be
I can't do
applicable
that.
to your position as a board member, not as an individual
Okay.
business owner.
So I was gonna say that, and then the only other caveat would be that from a town standpoint, it would be code enforcement. Yeah, that's all I would say on that too.
So since she's a board member and if something happened and they came back on the town itself, there wouldn't be any recourse or action they could take, right? The person that fell,
Yeah,
okay.
meaning like if the,
I mean, like they would sue her and the town as well
Yeah.
because she is a board
Because she's a
member.
board member.
I mean, people could sue anybody for anything. Do they have a,
yeah.
do they have
I
an
can
actual
see it.
case?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
dismissal and and even if you were to mean it from a standpoint of they sued the town because the town did not take actions to enforce their codes, even then the town's protected. Like,
Okay,
so, thank you. Yeah. I'm done.
okay. Next item on the agenda is executive session. And go with the main part of the glasses, so I can read it.
what page is that, Mayor, is it? Do you know where we're at on this?
the very last thing on your agenda.
The last page?
Page 2,
Yeah,
Page 2 of your
at
packet.
the bottom where it says executive session.
thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Or are you wondering, like,
Yeah, there's chocolate in there.
are there extra pages about this? Is that what you're-
Yeah. Oh, I just wondered where we were on
'Cause
that.
there's not anything extra in the packet, obviously,
No.
it's just that, okay.
right. Does Sasha have to leave too?
No, and she's locking the door.
Okay,
We have people on.
I'll wait for her to come back.
Yeah, we're gonna get out of there as soon as we're done.
Okay.
You gotta read that, go into.
Okay. I move to go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute Sections 24-6-402, 4A and B, for the purposes of considering the town's purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real, personal, or other property interests, and receiving legal advice on specific legal questions related to the town's purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real property, personal or other property interests, and under the town charter sections 3.12(1)(b) and C for the purposes of considering the acquisition or disposal of property, the public disclosure of which at this time may give other parties an unfair, competitive, or bargaining advantage, and receiving legal advice from the town attorney on such matters. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Is there a second?
I'll second
Oh.
that.
Thought you were telling me to wait for a second.
No,
Please now, Lori.
So
I'll second that.
the mayor made the motion and you seconded it?
Yes. Okay, now. Okay, is there any discussion on the motion?
No.
Let's call for a vote then. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,